a lot of really nice barrel chains, which did a ton of damage, but it wasn't enough to like one-shot the whole team, which it's never really going to be unless you're a 6-item Gangplank. But
yeah,
never got there.
Never did get there. Of course, well played by the rest of NRG to make sure not too many barrels stayed up during the fights. No surprises really here in that we have the same sort of target bans coming out of CLG. They decided that those matchups are not something they've really practiced very much. No one else really plays the Alawi. No one else really plays the Twitch. But it means that, yep, that final ban's going to be GBM's Vladimir, and now they've got to kind of make their last few choices with Sivir now off the table.
Exactly. 3 target bans, but they get the Malzahar just like they did in Game 1, which I believe is very good for CLG.
And now you expect to see probably Zilean come through. That's been what seems to be the counter pick in the matchup. And sort of as team comps interact, of course, CLG dropping that ban because they're more afraid of Vlad. And now the question is, does NRG want to go for that? We know GBM likes the Zilean, and can the comp work with it?
GBM was one of the first people to bring out the new Zilean in competitive play.
Yeah.
But just to go back to the 3 target bans from CLG, NRG will need to find something that can excel, because in their 4-12 season, it seems like most of their wins have come when one player has an exceptional game. And a lot of that time, it's been Quas on Alawi or OQ on Twitch. And usually when GBM has the best game, it's on Vladimir.
Yeah.
So get rid of those guys. Make them beat you with something else.
And that's going to be the case here. So what will NRG play for themselves? Again, they know the mid lane matchup. And they're going to just pick utility right now in the bot lane. Ashe seems to be higher priority than Jhin. Karma, really no surprise. Teams are picking this first round red side the entire series, actually, I believe. And we know NRG's bot lane, probably.
Yeah. Unless GBM decides to go for Calmer, which is still a possibility. With Sivir being banned from a utility sense, the Ashe does actually have a decent amount of priority, but that also means that if CLG want to pick some really hard initiation, they still can. The Gragas was very successful for them. Of course, that was aided by Bard, which is no longer available. So I'm interested to see what CLG does here.
Yeah, seems like NRG has zeroed in on their bans pretty well and gotten rid of the options that CLG work best with. So, yep, reinforce the comp the right way. What's it going to be? All the junglers on the table. Plenty of top laners. We know Darshan loves to play Jax, for example. Could always be there. And the question is, are you going to try to out-utility them by playing Jhin, or are you going to play something different into the matchup? Ezreal, something that Stixxay is very good at, and actually Ezreal Soraka going to be there, so they can kite back, they can get away from the arrows, and an actual 5-on-5. I mean, Vlad and Soraka, or Malzahar and Soraka are both very good.
Yeah, so definitely a bit of a throwback for CLG here. I do think Stixxay's Ezreal is really good. So even though we see a lot of Sivir and Ashe and Jhin lately, Ezreal was kind of the trailblazer as far as that safe utility AD carry pick as being able to slow teams long term. Anyway, Stixxay can carry games on that. Soraka can secure a safer laning phase. And like you said, some good team fighting if NRG doesn't have good diving.
Yeah, the laning phase itself going to be pretty much okay. I feel like that's pretty much a tie, that 2-on-2 down there, if it ends up being Karma in the bot lane. If it's Braum or Alistar, gets more unique, but that's farther in the future. NRG, once again, being allowed to sort of pick whatever jungler they want. CLG had the option of taking any jungler they wanted. They'd rather wait to see the team comp. NRG goes back to the Xerath here, and this time, of course, keep in mind, CLG don't have great engage tools, right? They don't have that Ashe anymore. Maybe the Gragas comes in, but Hecarim got taken away, so now getting onto that Xerath going to be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, and Hecarim is the ban that is dropped, so they're going to have to be dealing with that potential snowballing force, and Hecarim can be very good into Soraka, not nearly as good into Ezreal, so it's a little bit of a blessing and a curse here. But I agree with you that CLG doesn't necessarily have good initiation here, and that could be a big problem against Karma Xerath. However, with the fact that NRG has the Hecarim means they kind of have to engage if they want to play with like a one champion team comp.
Yeah, there's definitely some anti-synergy here, right? Xerath at the very least, like we call him a poke champion, at the very least he's always able to participate. If Hecarim and Ashe dive, you know Xerath is in range to hit somebody. So, you know, a forward motion comp does work for NRG here, of course. Counterlogic Gaming will see if they want to break that apart or play a little bit more to the back line. Right now the hover's on Rek'Sai and Gnar, and those will be locked in. So, blind pick Gnar and Rek'Sai, not a huge surprise.
Yeah, Rek'Sai going up against it. We also do have to remind everyone that Zix, the guy who's been calling picks and bans on stage for, you know, a year and a half to 2 years for CLG, is out sick. So even though he was helping with the preparation and the analyst they have on stage has been with them for a year and living in the house for a month, like the drafts are going to be a little different. And you even heard the analyst desk criticizing the CLG draft in Game 2 fairly heavily. I don't see anything super wrong with this team composition for CLG, aside from the fact that they don't necessarily have the hard initiation to deal with the Xerath. A lot of it will come down to how they play in game.
There's even the chance that Hecarim is a flex pick. Not that I think Hecarim Gnar is great, but kind of tilting back in on the options here. NRG have to come up with their comp. Kiwi Kid probably not going to lock in Udyr for his teammate here. I guess there's a chance, but it's unlikely. Instead, it will be a safe tank in the Maokai. So there's actually a lot of really good engage tools here for NRG. Hecarim and Maokai, two good divers. Xerath is there to help make sure the damage sticks. And with all the hard CC, you expect GBM to land almost every skill shot in these team fights.
Yeah, so even though Xerath does fit in a lot of poke comps in the context of this team composition for NRG, he's more long-range follow-up on initiation.
Yeah.
Because the Maokai, Hecarim, and Ashe, as well as the Karma, are very much about engaging onto potentially Aphromoo Soraka. And CLG, they do have a strong team fighting force as well. They have a tank line, they have great damage dealers in the mid and bottom lane, and they have a very supportive support. So NRG was able to win last game with team fighting. CLG picked a better team fighting team this time.
I do agree, and now the question is, how is it going to play out? Because as much as we're talking about probably the intended direction for NRG is forward, like outside of Hecarim, all these champs are pretty good at cutting back. Right, you've got the Karma, you've got an Ashe for volley, and Maokai is one of the better defensive tanks as well to help make sure whoever is diving, like a Gnar, just, I'm going to root you, I'm going to knock you away, you can't get into my team. And there's also good kiting back tools. Where, you know, the engage for CLG is unreliable, you've got a Karma and whatnot to help disengage for NRG. I think there are sort of more verbs in the vocabulary right now of NRG, ways they're allowed to play the game, and you know, CLG kind of on a first grade sort of literacy right here, trying to figure out if they can actually make this team comp work. I agree, a heads up 5-on-5 looks good for them, but the question is, are you going to play like it's 1776, or are you going to play a dynamic sort of guerrilla sort of game of League of Legends? And now coming into Game 3, the question is, can CLG hold on to a top spot? NRG right now, if they can close out this match, will tie Phoenix 1 in match wins, and they own the head-to-head based on game score right now. The last match for NRG is TSN, last match for Phoenix 1 is Immortals. Both those you expect to be match losses, and if it goes that way and NRG wins here, NRG get 8th.
Yeah.
And the chance at 7th is also still alive.
And the chance at 3rd is still alive for CLG, but they definitely have to win this one. Cloud9 already went ahead in match score. The game score very close. Like, Team Liquid, I believe, plays Cloud9 tomorrow, so they would still need Team Liquid to be able to beat Cloud9 basically 2-0. Otherwise, CLG would have no chance. I'm not even sure if that loss would actually make it even more unlikely, just dropping the one game.
Yeah.
On top of that, just having momentum going into the playoffs, like CLG does not want to lose to a team heading into relegations.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the question here. CLG, of course, looking to defend their title, and losing to an 8th place team, 9th place team, not a way to look good heading into playoffs, even though that seed is secured to some extent. We'll see how the game is played out here. Quick dance moves by GBM. Looks really good. Burning up the dance floor.
Absolutely.
He's got the fiery skin.
A sapling stack from Quaz. Could help Santorin's early jungle clear pretty immensely since...
Yeah. That is an atypical start as well, starting red.
It is. Although, I will say Hecarim does a lot of his damage with his Rampage, so the starting Krugs wouldn't be as necessary. He could also be a little bit worried about counter-jungling.
I like actually, so here's why I think this is if it's a lane swap, normally you see the support tries to invade the jungle and push him off. This way, if it is a lane swap, Santorin gets his red and gets out, and gets a, you know, and
he just gets
allowed sort of thing, After in a bad spot, though, ignited on, has to put the exhaust on, he's running out of health, heal is up for Stixxay! Ooh, that volley wasn't there. Kiwi Kid getting traded back on, but lands the Q. Yeah, that Santorin finds out that it's a regular lane matchup anyway. Of course, this 2-on-2 down here was close, and we will have the junglers continuing to run through their jungles.
The level 1 from NRG there, really strong. Also, just to kind of double back on that jungling point, NRG has done a lot more experimentation in ways to mix up the very early game than other teams. I don't actually think it's worked for them that much, but they're definitely doing the exploration. Every once in a while, they come out ahead. So this one doesn't actually matter because there was an invade. Bottom lane, they do get an early lead, which will force CLG to burn through a lot of potions. But the Ezreal Soraka lane, like if you're not killing them, you're probably not denying that much from them in the long run.
Yeah, Ezreal great at last hitting from far away, so it shouldn't be too bad for him. OQ gets the haste shield to get some auto attacks on, and oof, Stixxay not in a good spot. Aphromoo does not have level 2 just yet. He's been pushed back so far, he hasn't been able to level up yet. So still no heals coming through to Stixxay, and Boop. That's Santorin's.
Yes, it is. And I mean, CLG has to be a little bit careful of Santorin doing level 3 dive on the Soraka. And
ooh, and they spotted.
Remember, Exhaust is already down.
I think they spotted Xmithy on the way down somehow because I saw warning pings down there. Xmithy knows that Santorin's around. They see each other. Now they know what's up. Both junglers are here. And of course, a double buff clear for Santorin meant that he has all the resources he needs. Afro finally level 2 can start giving 6A some healing. And this lane should start to float back to okay.
Even so, that gives control to NRG. Santorin already has a blue buff. And who he had done an early base. So I think this is just a red buff. Oh my goodness.
Xmithy is in. The smite fight's in there. Okay. Xmithy gets himself the red buff. Now the battle on a Santorin. A bit of a slow from Aframu. And they're actually pulling the teleporter from Darshan, who cancels, I think, correctly here. And now that's TP advantage for 3 minutes to Quas. Be careful, CLG.
The teleport was a bit much, but crazy from Xmithy. It's almost like he didn't even realize his red was being taken and he was tunneling over for safety because, like, the support was missing. The jungler, maybe he knew it was being taken because he was able to win the smite fight afterwards, but a little bit of luck definitely has to go into that one, and Xmithy gets away with it and actually makes a very inefficient evade for Santorin.
All right, the time was lost. Looking at the jungler's XP right now, they're pretty close to equal. Small lead to Xmithy, but they'll both hit level 4 in the next camp right there. Damage back and forth once again, and yeah, CLG, look at this minion farm. Almost identical. Their health bars look okay. Sure, they're down a couple of potions, but it's not terrible. And kind of thankful for Aframu as well. He, realizing that his lane matchup's actually fairly aggressive against him, went coin, not Spell Thief. Spell Thief is actually more common on Soraka, or at least has been for the last few months. And this way, it's more passive. He's going to get more health restore. Afro at full HP is going to be fine in a lane that started out so rough because of the extra regen.
Exactly. Super hard to deny Ezreal farm, especially with Soraka, unless you basically kill the Soraka before the heal is up, which almost happened.
Which it almost happened.
But because it didn't, that means that lane's going to split.
Okay, so they'll be equal. NRG small gold lead for themselves, plus 8 minions on GBM, plus a few on Quas as well. He's looked good against Darshan. Normally Nar's supposed to look okay in that matchup, but just some good early plays right now by the NRG top laner. Xmithy came around to see if there was a dive. There wasn't one. Nothing to be done here. He'll recall and head back to the bot side of the jungle. They'll continue to track each other across the map, trying to infer what camps they're taking. Darshan misses the boomerang. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, Santorin as well, just, I think a lot of times on Hecarim, while you can pull off some ganks with Ghost if the enemy is overextended, generally I think you should just kind of be power farming, but if you look at the jungle, he has done the farming. The camps are gone. At this point, he's just trying to be as efficient as possible.
Surprised he didn't pink ward there, though. I guess he has the Raptor buff, so he went through to make sure there were no wards, and at that point, why put down a pink ward that serves no purpose other than it could be killed off? So takes the one camp he can. That's the Scuttle. Down it goes. 70 gold. Levels up to 5. And he's going to head back to the bot side where the Gromp will spawn. Afro, nice silence. Trades pretty well with Kiwi Kid. He's got some healing, but he overextends and forgot that Kiwi had Ignite. Supportal combat, and Kiwi gets first blood by himself.
The savvy vet Kiwi Kid gets the most random kill onto Aframu. Basically, Aframu was being really greedy with the way he was trying to freeze the wave right there. And like you said, probably just forgot Kiwi Kid had Ignite. Like a really rare yet big error from Aframu. Like, bunch of minions.
He can flash at any point here, by the way.
Gets rooted. Then
goes
decides
back
to
in.
trade back with a cannon minion hitting him.
Yeah.
Uses exhaust as well. That goes kind of from bad to worse.
Yeah, he just realizes too late that he did the completely wrong thing. Aframu loses his life. Shouldn't have, but good tenacity by Kiwi Kid. The rare mistake hurting the CLG support, though, of course. 300 gold lead to NRG. And Santorin says, get out of my jungle.
Yeah, and Kiwi Kid is here on the roam, too. They don't run away. Xmithy's, he's got the ward. He wants to try and steal, but he realizes with the support here, he's got to run.
Not be able to get that one right here, so not the end of the world. The red buff's going to go as expected. I believe CLG were able to get their own buffs appropriately in the first rotation of the jungle, and they'll probably get it again next time everything respawns around. So, lanes back to pretty close. You can see 57-59 in the mid lane, 55-51 up top. Bot lane not too bad. So it's been a not entirely uninteresting early game, but it's been a fairly equal trade of resources in most cases. So similar standings for both these squads. Santorin finds a ward to kill. Make sure it's not in the brush. In fact, just goes for the dive right now onto Stixay and Aframu. He's going to get the knockback. No, he hits a minion. A misclick by Santorin. That is unfortunate.
Yeah,
and happens.
Because the flash was already up from Aftermath, like basically you want to be able to force the flash before your ultimate, otherwise players are good enough to react to flash that.
And Quas, the preemptive flash, did not want to be in range of Fuhi's ultimate, so he flashed and was not, but that is summoners down for Quas. Santorin going for the repeat gank, though, around the backhand side. Aftermath only level 4. Should chug a potion, but he's not. He's going to face check into Santorin. He's got to be careful. It's a level 6 Hecarim. Down to half HP again is Aframu. Smithy ults down to the bot side of the map, but they're going to have a roam coming in. Goes for the Fierce. Aframu is going to get himself picked off. Arrow's going to land into the snipe. He's going to go down for that one. The trade kill not going to happen to the Santorin. Afro, honestly, again, had potions to use, didn't use them, walked into a Hecarim, got picked off. 2 for 0, all the deaths being CLG support.
Yeah, not a good start for CLG. This bottom lane has been under constant pressure, and because of a little bit of like almost overconfidence from CLG, NRG is able to punish, and even still, the overconfidence.
Suddenly Quas is here. Darshan is in the mix as well, but it's a 5v4. Aframu does not have his ultimate. He cannot help from across the map. Darshan forced out. Great damage from GBM. Bottom lane still being pressured, and this actually looks bad for CLG's turret because still taking plenty of damage from OQ and QB Kid.
Absolutely, and the whole team is down to the flash ult.
The flash engage on a GBM. The knockup is there. He's going to flash over the silence, though, and that kill did not happen. But now a 2-man Gnarlty from Darshan. Do they have the damage to kill off Quas? His ulti is on. He's just not taking enough damage to die. So the summoners, meaning nothing from CLG. The NRG able to get away.
And they definitely do not have the damage. To answer your question, it's a Phage on Darshan and a tier on Stixxay. Like, this is way too early to be trying to do these things. QB Kid can easily shield it away. The tankiness of the rest of NRG, like Quas, was enough to withstand. And a big win for NRG. Watching this one, right, like at this point, Stixxay and Aframu probably need to concede or at least go back to the turret. Instead, they really want to kill this pink ward, and Aframu walks up into the brush to kill the pink ward.
Yeah.
That allows GBM to pop his ultimate as the Asher arrive. Stixxay tries to get some damage back on it, but damage has already been done.
Rough stuff. NRG feeling good about this one, though. Positive for, of course, their team and their fans right now. Looking not too bad now. Finally, they're the team with a good early game lead. This hasn't happened so far, really, this series. But they found the early couple of kills, looking nice for themselves. And they can maybe ride this one home and at least temporarily hold control of 8th place if they can win this one. The chance of 7th, I believe, still holds up. I know there's some interesting game score requirements. But they would need, actually, I think, Phoenix 1 to win a game and themselves as well to get themselves in a 3-way tie. A long shot, but still there. But even just 8th is an improvement over where they sit right now. Here's Santorin, look for the mid lane dive.
On 3-man dive.
Passive pops off, tackle on a Huhi, there's the root. He's got nowhere to go. Easy kill on a Malzahar, shouldn't be anything else but that. GBM walks away cleanly. So again, NRG, the team with the initiative, making the dives happen, feeling good about this squad.
Yeah.
Solid early game.
That was actually just a really good dive from NRG. Yeah. They recognized when Huhi would be going for the blue buff. They knew when he was going to be going back to lane. They had the people in place beforehand. CLG didn't have the wards, and they even get the kill onto the right person. Like, that was perfect from NRG.
And it might continue to go well for them. 1,100 gold lead, gonna be nice. Bot lane, heavy priority. Look at that, plus 16 minions down there. A really nice lead for OQ and Kiwi Kid down there. Stixxay just chunked out, and look at the damage coming across. Afro to put the silence field down to push OQ off him and toss some more heals, but he's out of health right now. A dive would kill Afro without much of a care. Turret's gonna go down.
Whoa!
Kiwi did not expect the mini wave to be there. You could have timed that though, and now without flash, here comes the knockup for Xmithy. Trading back in towards Afro. Pop stealer to stay alive. That's gonna be the kill picked up. Sadly for Afro, he takes the kill though. I wanted to get that to his carry, but an overextension by Kiwi Kid turns into a death, and CLG claw back a little bit closer.
It's a good thing that action happened so quickly, because I was really ready to just lay a bunch of praise on NRG's bottom lane. Talking about like, man, when's the last time these guys have crushed? They're doing so well, keeping the pressure on, and then he just like overly aggressively flashes without having vision of the jungler and gets punished. Yeah. Kind of giving back some of this lane. They don't even finish the turret, which they might have been able to do if they hadn't even gone for the kill.
So they're going to go for the kill in the mid lane right there. Again, Huhi's passive popped off. There's the tackle, into the stun, into the fear, and everything else. And there was literally nothing Huhi could have done about that except not be in the lane anymore. Another good dive. Santorin and GBM joined at the hip. Quas and Darshan fighting back and forth. Looks okay for the Gnar. It's actually Quas running away into the brush, and there's the disengage.
Yeah, GBM, though, is getting fed this game. And a lot of it is just the team is setting up very well around him, and he's capitalizing. Plus, he's on his comfort champion. He's had very inconsistent games this split, but it seems like this series, Hermit's been able to get him onto the champions he can excel on. Xerath twice, Vladimir once, and really the third quality game in a row from GBM.
I definitely agree. So now the pressure continues as NRG are going to get the first turret of the game. He would get sniped the last hit on that one, but 1,500 gold lead for NRG in this third game against Counterlogic Gaming. And again, you talk about the fact that this is not the end of the season for either of these teams. Once they're done with the regular season, almost definitely both these squads will be playing at least one more best of 5. NRG maybe in the promo tournament, CLG in the playoffs, and NRG being in shape coming into that situation is a good spot to be in. If you can beat the number 3, number 4, number 5 team in North America, you can probably beat a squad like Team Liquid Academy or something. And we'll see if they can make this a successful year for them. And we'll see them in 2017 in the LCS. Yeah. That's the goal, is stay in the LCS one way or another.
You got to be able to reassess your goals, refocus towards them. Obviously, when NRG rebuilt the roster around GBM, their aspirations were playoffs and how far can they go? Can they make Worlds? But as the season hit more and more roadblocks, they have to retool and just kind of think, okay, we're not in playoffs, but we better stay in the LCS like we've got to do in this promotion tournament. And that means towards the end of the season, you have to play for the best seeding as possible, as well as just figure out how to play well. And so far here, the unlocking Santorin, as well as really just focusing around GBM. Instead of just having GBM sit back and passively farm and try and carry late game, almost all of the ganks from the top lane roaming to the support to the jungler coming, it's a party in the mid lane.
Yeah.
And when GBM gets a lead, it allows him to carry the game.
Yeah, it feels like they found things that work well into the Malzahar. In the first game, CLG thought the Zillion ban was all they needed to make it work, and in fact, they did win that first game, but now you can see the Hecarim, Maokai, Xerath dives are working, and it's going to be a trade of this top lane turret soon enough for that Drake.
With that being said, though, that Ocean Drake could be huge for CLG, and this game is still only 1,300 gold in the difference, and Malzahar, even though Huhi is 0-2 on it, can still be pretty tremendous in the late game if they can't instantly kill him with clean dives. So by no means is this series over. CLG does have to fight back, though.
They get to steal away a blue buff, nice for them. NRG, actually, they had sent their whole team topside. I thought that top tower was just going to die. They had sent 4 up there. They're going to go for it on this wave instead, waiting for CLG's dual lane to show up. A ward on that brush, NRG hiding away properly here. Sweep comes through, an attempt at the blue buff steal. Top lane outer should be probably being picked off soon enough. The roams for Smithy. He's going to really try for this one. GBM preemptive Ghost does not want to be picked off. They know the CC layering is scary. Santorin has to smite the blue buff himself. So he actually got the blue. Smithy was able to transfer that. Santorin actually had to smite this one away. So not quite an equal trade, though they both got a blue buff. There goes the Rift Herald, runs away from that one. Pink ward controlled away by Smithy, and careful. Yeah, he's going to be fine. No root's going to land, jumps over the wall.
You're saving his tunnel, getting the Rift, the Scuttle Crab control, pretty important. But they have to be able to get over here to protect the mid laner. Huhi has been just dove over and over again. And now most of NRG is here to try and get him.
Lands. The passive is off once again. Thankfully for Huhi, though, his team is around, and CLG will make sure he doesn't get dove just yet under this turret. More poke, and there's a flash engage on a GBM. Arrow's going to turn it back off. He's able to flash to stay alive. Suppression is gone, but now Smithy going to get rooted up. Silence comes across on a Santorin. More poke coming across. Smithy on a 400 HP. Quas burns teleport to join the fight. Still did not have to burn that summoner themselves. And they get an extra summoner burned out of the NRG top laner. 0 for 0.
Yeah, but also Flash is burned in the mid lane, and considering the amount of support that GBM has been getting, having no Flash against a Hecarim and a Maokai with a Flash usually means you die unless you have a bunch of teammates around you. So I understand the idea for CLG to try and get that burst on a GBM, but unless they can lock him down before he flashes away, it's not going to be a kill, and it's just going to mean that Hui's going to be down a Flash for the next game.
Well, then danger on the CLG mid laner. They've got to be careful with this one. The gold lead staying at 1,700. It is fairly close. An Ocean Drake of some use when you're facing against a little bit of poke for yourselves. Ocean Drake on Soraka, by the way, is just absolutely amazing. You have what essentially amounts to infinite health and mana to battery your teams up. So CLG going to feel really good in seed situations, but they've had a hard time closing the games out cleanly. All of the games in this series so far have been won on the back of 5-on-5 team fights. In Game 1, it was a really elegant one by CLG that got the Baron of the game-winning push. In Game 2, NRG just could not be stopped as they had that Vladimir dive to the back line, and we may be headed for a very similar situation here with Santorin and Quas diving the back line, GBM putting the damage over top, and CLG has to be able to withstand that situation.
Yeah. In this game, however, NRG has had the better laning phase of all 3 of the games.
Right.
They approached this stage in games 1 and 2 from a deficit, so the fact they have a lead here, as well as the ability to initiate pretty heavy team fights, does put them in a good position to maybe take the series.
And NRG's going to hope they can do that in their second to last match of the regular season. Oki will knock down the top lane out of turret. NRG once again up a turret in score and up 2,000 gold. That is an unanswered turret take. It just feels like they've got so much priority in several of these lanes right now. NRG in a good spot. Stixxay playing a bit defensively, knocking the wave down. Quas actually going to stay and hold the lane and again kind of remove the options from CLG's playbook. They're not allowed to push in top lane. Sorry, Maokai's already there to get rid of the minions. There's a sapling. No push allowed. Wait 30 more seconds and gives time for NRG to regroup. Even if Afro fights for minion wave control and for ward control, doesn't matter. Nothing to push the turret with.
Yeah, I will say though, this game is only 2,000 different, and CLG is building for the split push. You look at the way Darshan is itemized already. Black Cleaver first, Pickaxe second, probably going up towards the Frozen Mallet. And the 3-man core of Ezreal, Malzahar, and Soraka is really hard to push in for NRG. They'd have to get some very clean dives off to make this a thing. So CLG is falling back on what they used to fall back on, right? And I've seen them win a ton of games from similar positions because they just rotate better, they stall out for the right time, and then they find the right team fight. So it is on NRG to not let CLG prolong this game with good split pushing.
We'll see that's going to be the case then. Mid lane getting attacked. It's going to lose a fair bit of health. CLG, you just saw a second ago, was able to equalize a turret score in the top lane. As the energy resources were on the other sides of the map, they pull OQ into the mid, which gives Darshan room to split push on the bot side of the map. But the chain's gonna land. Afro's trying to dodge. Here comes the onslaught of shadows, and Afromu gives up his 3rd kill of the game. Darshan's still splitting in the bot with decent attack damage, and that's gonna be a lot of this turret.
Yeah, tough death for Afromu to take, but if they're able to get a turret off of it, it's kind of worth it. Darshan, though, needs to be able to play this safe, recognizes he can't get all of the turret now, but based on the heavy AD Gnar build he is building, and the fact that Quas is already 30 CS down and has a Spectre's Cowl, which is a bit of a team fighting item, will mean that Darshan can get that turret late.
See if they can get that one. Ooh, yeah, GB has to ghost away because he was afraid of getting knocked up into Malzahar. And that wasn't the case, but bot lane turret now very, very, very low. Mid lane outer did not go down either. NRG didn't pick that one up just yet, but this is a nice snipe by GBM.
It really is. Yeah, he gets the stun into the max damage W, and then the Ash Arrow. Looked like it was going to kill, but the stun doesn't wear off. Centaur comes in and be like, oh, yeah, I'll help.
Yeah, good coordination, right?
Oh,
geez. Able to tell OQ in time. Mountain Drake going to go to CLG. Yet again, they are controlling, I think, actually every single Drake this entire series. I don't believe NRG's gotten a single one in all 3 games so far. Never getting any Infernal Drakes, so they're never getting the team fight ones. But CLG hoping to play the resource game well enough. Darshan going to turn into Mini Gnar, running away, trying to get out, and he will do so.
Pretty easy retreat.
Health bar.
Getting the Mountain Drake will play into the split push strategy that CLG wants pretty well. So even though Afromu has gotten caught out a bunch, NRG has gotten a bunch of good dives, CLG still has a game plan. And NRG is the team that is advantage, shouldn't be giving these Drakes over. It just speaks to a bit of a lack of wave control and lack of coordination that CLG should hope to exploit.
We'll see if they can make that happen. You talk about wave control, though. I like what Quas has done. He knows he's not going to be able to stand up to Darshan one-on-one, so he went for his Rot Portal second item. Actually, sorry, first major item.
It's true. Although, I will say, talking to some players, Quas does this stuff every game on Maokai. Like, his thing is to rush a Raptor's Cloak and go double Doran's Ring. Like, no matter the matchup. It's just the way he loves to play Maokai. I do agree that this Rot Portal will make it more difficult for Darshan to push.
And you can see right now it's just kind of feeding resources to the bot lane. Another smite by Xmithy. It's actually 2 red buffs he's taken from under Santorin's nose. And that might bode positive things. This game comes down to a Baron steal. Xmithy definitely one of the best smiters. Santorin good too, but so far Xmithy doing better in this game. 1,400 separates these squads. A tight game to be certain. As looks like Darshan found this drop portal, he'll knock that down. No more flood of little void spawns for Quas down there until it comes back to cooldown. Yep, thank you, Observer.
I want to see Santorin farming a little bit harder in this game. He has the kill and 3 assists, but Hecarim should be power farming at this point, because if he doesn't get tanky enough on top of his Trinity Force, it would mean if they don't instantly kill Huhi, he will die very easily to Malzahar and Israel.
Right, he's got no Cinderhulk and no magic resist items. He's got 55 MR and under 2,000 health. That is not a lot of durability when you consider, you compare Quas, who's like, yeah, Spectre's Cowls, Drop Portal, MR, I'm ready to, to survive a Malzahar here. So yeah, I agree, Santorin can definitely be picked off if he's not too careful. Right now sitting on only 500 gold, so he's got a ways to go. Ruby Crystal picked up, he's, again, needs the various combines. Mid lane control there for GBM, easy enough for him. 6A actually getting away with this one. He knows that mid is still under some fire. Huhi, though, able to actually play the wave clear duty. No one pressured him under this turret. He's okay. GBM waiting in the wings. Seeing if there's an opening. They get an arrow onto Xmithy, but he's just too tanky. He's got the Mercury Treads. And actually, wow, Huhi face checks the brush. Has to flash away, goes to re-engage, and can't find the target. GBM slowed down a little bit by a boomerang, but it doesn't mean too much.
Yeah.
Huhi out of summoners now.
That was a little bit odd by Huhi to use both summoners just like that. Looked like CLG was grouping up to try and make a play while Quas was off taking a wave, and I'm a little surprised CLG didn't continue to kind of play their game, which was the 4-1 or the 1-3-1. Because they have basically turned this into a CLG-style game where they should technically be most comfortable.
See, Darshan feels comfortable fighting Quas right now, up 2 levels. You talked about earlier Santorin trying to get some farm, but also keep in mind Quas has been giving away a lot to the rest of his teammates, and this matchup is heavily advantaged towards Darshan, both in build and in champions a little bit, and in the actual resources available to these players with experience and gold. So it is a difficult road for Quas. He picked into the matchup, he picked it for the team comp, not for the lane. So CLG said, okay, well, then we'll abuse the lane and we'll try to not have the team comps interact globally as much. And you mentioned CLG good at playing this game, and there's the turret going down. Darshan getting that advantage for himself in the one-on-one. Nicely done there. Mid lane even under pressure. 6A doing a good job of pushing out GBM, who does not have very much mana. Arrow actually not going to land. And CLG's resources stay full thanks to the Ocean Drake. The turrets die faster thanks to Mountain.
Yeah.
Feels pretty good.
Iceborne completed for Stixxay, making it a little bit harder for NRG to stay engaged. Aphromo with the Ocean Drake, and now max levels in heal can sustain up through the poke better. Things are kind of beginning to turn back for CLG a bit, as long as NRG can't get the clean initiations.
And that's the difficulty right now is, I think is NRG have the comp for it. Like, they can get in. They know they can toss out Ash arrows, they can, toss out Hecarim multis and whatnot, but they haven't come in just yet. Once again, blue buff under control, and GBM being denied all this mana is actually a pretty big deal. He's lost several blue buffs in a row now. Doesn't have the mana to wave clear always. Smithy in a 1 versus 2, but feels safe enough with his teammates nearby.
And even Xmithy has 2 levels on Santorin.
Yeah.
Like, the experience advantages are spread interestingly. Darshan above Quas, Smithy above Santorin.
GBM and OQ plus
OQ
1.
Are +1 on the mid and AD carry. I think a lot of that is because Stixxay and Huhi have, aside from this moment where he's on the side lane, done a bit of a buddy system where they're staying next to each other to create safety and not let them get isolated by Santorin and GBM. Then it's Darshan who's getting a lot of the free waves, and Xmithy who's just doing a bunch of farming, because that is basically the 1-3-1 setup that CLG would like to have, and that spreads the experience in exactly that way.
And most of these elements for CLG are reasonably safe on their own, as long as they're kind of paying attention, right? He can't be arrowed without getting his passive worn off. Stixxay can arcane shift out, Darshan can leave. They've got flashes as well, so yeah, CLG have played safely enough to not get picked off, but here comes Inferno Drake spawning in 6 seconds. CLG are first to get themselves map control. They've got a Scuttle Crab in front of them as well. NRG wants to knock down mid lane first. CLG have reacted in time to stop that. Mega Gnar gets popped, so it won't be able to fight.
Yeah, and this could be the danger. Darshan is not a team fighting build.
A ton of CC. They're going to try to pick him off. The heals come through, and he's still going to get dropped down. Quas going to trade his life, but he is tanky on this Maokai. It still will be the kill trade. Both top laners are dead, with one built for team fighting, one built for split push. 1-for-1's not bad for CLG.
Yeah, the lead that Darshan had, though, is now out of the fight. And it would still be a 4v4. GBM as well still has an ultimate. The Hawk Shot reveals. Let's see what GBM decides to do. A lot of mid lane pressure from CLG could just give them another Drake.
CLG were just first to push it. They made it happen. They knocked it all down. Well played by them, and that's going to be Infernal picked up. So now, Cons be what they are. They've got some actual team fight stats thanks to that Drake pickup, and it's going to make a potential 5-on-5 look a little bit better for them.
Yeah, CLG able to come back in games, even though nothing huge is happening. It's just a bunch of little things. Darshan, though, was hoping to find that opportunity. Just gets chain stunned. Can't even get off his Gnar ultimate before dropping, but Frost is also in, and now Hui might be caught.
He's taking too much damage, gets tackled, and it gets taken out. Nice job by Santorin and Quas. Ooh, Asher nearly lands as well. 6A's okay, though. After running out of health, it's CLG kind of running back, and this one Xfinity stuck in the front lines. Can't get the kill in the Q just yet. 6A in the back line, he can't land the Q, and he's got to be careful now. A big Gnarl comes across, so Darshan's setting it for CLG. Here's the flash away, GBM having to run for his life. Xfinity low on health, but won't get sniped just yet. Afro is out of mana, waiting for the Ocean Drink to get some back in, but it's a kill on the Darshan. A nice pickup there. Quas, ooh, be careful, CLG. Quas is a scary cat tree hybrid thing, and you've got to be afraid of this one. Mid lane outer will be going down. NRG coming out ahead in that fight. Looks like 2 for 0.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% sure why CLG is in position to even have these team fights happen. Because when Hui goes down at the very beginning of that fight, as good as Darshan's Gnar ultimate is going to be, the majority of this team's team fighting damage is on the Malzahar. Yep. So if he goes down at the start of the fight, CLG should be disengaging instead of re-engaging was what they're trying to do there. And yes, NRG is able to win that fight because they killed the Malzahar right at the start.
Good for NRG to find that pick, though. It's always been their advantage here with this composition, and it comes through. So it's 8-2 in kills. The gold lead actually nearly 2,500. It's reasonable now for NRG. They've got a good spot.
Yeah, so to see how this started was actually a teleport from base to get behind them, and Santorin runs in with Ghost. So Hui had nowhere to run. But the rest of CLG should still just be running, in my opinion. After we can flash back and Xfinity Darshan shouldn't have decided to go in. But they decide to fight it anyway. Darshan is a very heavy damage Gnar. 6A chases a kill over the wall. From Kiwikin is unable to get it, and because of those kills, NRG's actually turning to Baron, but this is risky.
CLG are aware, but Darshan is on the other side of the map without teleport, so it's a 5v4 arrow, but a nice ton of bike Smithy gets him out of range. That is now OQ's ultimate on cooldown. Drop portal sent to the top lane. Top wave has priority. Xfinity's going to control mid right now for CLG. Afro getting chunked out, has to flash away, and thankfully for him survives GBM's onslaught, but now it's going to be more damage across. They just tackle Santorin. Look at the damage of it. They've picked off the Hecarim already, and now the team is re-engaged. Darshan is here. Megadon's going to pick up Quas, but be careful. Darshan's running out of health. This Gnar just barely survives it. Tosses out one more heal, and he's going to be okay. Quas actually dies at 2 for 0. CLG able to withstand the pressure just enough. Afro tossing in the heals. Finding the CC, Hui just tackling Santorin was a big deal.
Yeah, that was really huge. But also just notice the difference of having a Malzahar in the fight versus NRG not having a clean initiation on anyone. So like CLG did play Kite back. I don't think they necessarily wanted the team fight, but the way NRG overexposed themselves without getting the kill meant CLG didn't have to disengage fully on that fight. And they fight back pretty well.
Definitely well for them. Close though for Afro. He had to flash to get away from some of that Xerath damage, and now it's down. So round 2 could be bad for the CLG support, but he's turned it around a little bit better. Going for the healing items, going to try to keep his team afloat here. We can watch the fight again.
Yeah, you can see he gets one soul onto Afro and thinks, okay, I can kill him. The Q and the 3 Rs.
He gets 5 if you hit some. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Because of the Xerath changes. Here we go. But then just a big combo from Darshan as he's able to jump in, stuns Quas into the wall. At this point as well, GBM already is just so far back in the fight, doesn't want to move past, and Hui had his passive up that whole time, so it was really hard to engage on him.
Woo. Tight timing there. Thankfully for 6A gets away from Ash's arrow, and that's kind of the unfortunate thing is it's not that OQ's accuracy is bad on Ash by any means. He's landed quite a lot of arrows. Problem is,
it's a really hard team to hit.
It's really hard to hit, exactly. Or it's just a Mercury Treads Rek'Sai who's tunneling at this point. Like, there's so many move blocks that CLG can use to make sure they're not getting tackled here.
Exactly. The tanks have Mercury Treads. The mid laner is invulnerable. Yeah, the duo lane has one guy that shifts away. If he gets Afro, though, they get him. That's basically the one target he should be aiming for, and that makes it difficult.
As long as Afro positions well, he's got teammates to hide behind. The mid lane pressure is here. No Baron buff. It's just CLG fighting with a small 1,300 gold lead, but looking to keep their hopes at a 3rd place seed in the playoffs alive. And it's them disengaging now. 5-3 in turrets. Down 4 kills, but it does not seem to matter because CLG aren't just playing the team fight game.
Right, and they were able to stall out that 5-kill-to-1 disadvantage by split pushing and getting them up to
TP flank coming in, though.
levels. It's a really far back flank. Let's see who they can get.
Slow. They're going to get him. The tackle's there. Gets the shields, but he's not going to have enough health. Then the kill's going to come through. Now it's on a Quas. The Malzahar doing quite a bit of damage. They've also picked off Santor. It's a 4-on-4. Support and jungler are dead. Stixay on to Quas, but gets Asher. The follow's going to be there. GBM wants him. He's going to get that kill picked up. Smithy trading back with Quas. Turns the kill around, but it's CLG missing an AD carry. It's a 3 versus 3 yet again. Darshan flashing in for a boomerang slow. Can't quite get enough with the hyper. Smithy, whoa! Way too aggressive. Gets taken out of the turret, CLG. What are you thinking? A little silly right there. Goes -1 in the team fight. GBM doesn't quite land this low into Darshan. But now it's a 3v2 on the field. NRG hold more members. They've got waves to clear.
Yeah, Smithy was thinking he had a Taric behind him that was making him invulnerable, but he definitely did not, because it could have been a nice 2-for-2 turnaround, even though that was a huge initiation attempt by NRG and they were able to kill fairly early on in the fight, but because of the overchase, it gives an extra kill back to NRG. Right at the start, Afro does juke the first one, but then he starts getting hit by the subsequent shots, and because the teleport flag gets him. Also, Darshan didn't have a great Gnar ultimate, just stunning Cross into the side, but even with that, since Poogie was untouched and Stixay is getting pretty far ahead on the Ezreal, they did a bunch of damage, but a nice stun right over the wall from the Ash Arrow to chain with GBM. But at this point, the fight should just be over. Darshan flashed forward, which made Xmithy think he should go as well. It was definitely a team call. They just kind of go all in, and Xmithy was trying to support the team. It was just too far.
And it didn't happen right there. So Ocean Drake picked up by the Malzahar solo. Double Ocean now for CLG. They've got so much sustain. If Afro does not get one shot, he's got infinite resources to give over.
Yep. He needs to get as tanky as possible, because he's the one everyone's going to be trying to kill.
Well, he's going to try. Ruby Sightstone done. Locket shield is there. Getting what health he can, of course. Game basically identical in gold right now. 55 and change thousand. We know that NRG have the tools to make these fights work. We see GBM sometimes initiating with the ultimate. The Riley slow setting up for Santorin's Hecarim. Quas with DP flanks, all the above. CLG trying to play split push and trying to kite it out. Darshan now building towards some tank items. Spectre's Cowl, Warden's Mail both in.
Yeah.
OQ, critical mass here. 3 big damage items are in. 70% crit chance with an Infinity Edge. That is scary. Arrow's not going to quite land in the mid lane. Good dodge by Afromu. CLG hold most of their flashes.
Yeah.
NRG in the same boat. Everyone but the top laner is holding that summoner spell. No TP for Quas though, so CLG have the split push advantage.
Exactly. And this game does look like CLG is back in control a little bit, even though they're down 5 kills because of the 5 Drakes, but he wants the fight.
Anytime Huhi's passive gets poked off, the attempt to push in happens. Stixay needs to get some healing back from Afromu. He's going to be all right. Yeah, 2 heals in. Again, you can see the damage GBM does. That is one spell, is half of Stixay's.
His death cap with Haunting Guys as well is trying to punish Stixay, who hasn't finished any magic resist items yet. So, like, it's a really aggressive build by Stixay, and they're actually going for Baron. This could be disaster, but it's NRG's bet to try and win the game.
It could be anything. Here we go. Darshan has teleport. The ward's swimming down to find a spot to jump to.
CLG is going for the split push. They're hoping to get NRG off this while Darshan takes an inhibitor. It's getting lower. CLG should be doing a harder commit here.
They're dedicating to him. GBM at 1,000 health, 4,000 left on Baron. Smithy in the front line. Here comes the teleport in the back line. It's going to be the tackle on a Santorin. Quas getting locked up as well. The damage is just not there to pick off CLG's backline. Hui running out of health. The shield, and he can't heal him enough. The Morellonomicon stopped enough healing to trade back the mid laner, and in fact, Darshan never even joined the fight, so he got the inhibitor turret itself. CLG actually re-engaging for Baron Nashor.
And because NRG has to go back for Darshan, they're actually just canceling their recalls over and over again. They're probably losing the inhibitor. I don't even know if CLG needs to finish this one, but they know if they don't get engaged on, they can smite it.
NRG gonna give away the inhibitor to play for the
NRG's got to do something.
GBM's got to try to steal. He's going to go for it. They're going to try to layer the damage, and it's going to be Stixay, actually. Smithy didn't even land the smite. And now here comes the chase, though. He's getting slowed down, picked off, running out of health. OQ lands the stun in top of a ward. Smithy could go down, goes for the flash engage, trying to turn it around. Afro lands the flash in, and it's OQ not able to withstand the damage. He does trade back 2 for 2, and CLG have Baron on 2 people, but the bot inhib and 1 Nexus turret is dead. CLG in control of the map.
And this is why CLG likes to push games towards split pushing, because they make better decisions than their opponents. They know NRG has communication issues, and it was so apparent in that series of events. The Baron starting at this, the Baron and the peel off the Baron, where only 2 members of NRG go to try and kill CLG, and the rest get paralyzed by Darshan's channeling teleport. Darshan doesn't even finish it. He gets the inhibitor, the continuation of NRG not just giving up the Baron, but instead trying to steal it without smite, when they could have just gone back and stopped the split push. So many things happen. Watching this again, you can see Xsmithy's just holding, and NRG does not kill this Baron very quickly because GBM and OQ aren't doing much damage. Quas flashes in, but everyone else on NRG is just tracked by that teleport, which is canceled. By the time NRG decides they can follow through, their front line is already dead, and even though GBM lands all of his shots, it doesn't matter by that point, and CLG just make good decision after good decision in high-risk, high-pressure situations, and they pull ahead in this game.
Very, very well played by Counterlogic Gaming. This is one of their trademark strengths, is the great shot calling in tight situations. There's a few teams who've done this famously well. Cloud9, back in the old days, another one that comes to mind. High, very often praised for his poise under pressure, and Counterlogic Gaming, another team definitely that have that strength right now, and that pressure worked out for them. So here comes the push with the top side. Again, only 2 people have the Baron buff. It's Darshan and Stixxay. Those are the ones that survived the actual Baron dance from before, but that's enough to buff up this wave of minions. That's going to be another turret going down. That's 8-4 in turret. CLG's still down in kills, but they're playing the map better. Yeah, I don't care if the team fights aren't great for them. They're doing everything else just right.
Yeah, and we have to bring up the double Ocean Drake Soraka, which makes it so apparent that NRG has to get a clean initiation for anything to really happen. This minion wave is huge, and CLG is just poking at it.
A little bit more damage done. That turret down well below half HP. Double cannon minions up, but they are taken out pretty cleanly. A couple more attacks will do it. There's the volley. There's it getting picked off. Bottom lane is starting to stack up, though. Double super minions going to start pushing into the base, and there's only one Nexus turret, so this will at some point require action from NRG. Afro, this does not lose resources now. Top lane turret losing even more health. They've got to be afraid of Quas, but they know his flash is down, and that means this turret's going to fall. Darshan healthy enough. He's got a Guardian Angel, and he's Mega Gnar. NRG have to give that respect because they know it can be scary. We can poke around a little bit more. Damage continues on to the inhibitor itself. 3/4. Stixxay takes some poke. After, you can see how far back he's playing. He's not even in range of anything right now. He knows his job is to stay healthy, to stay alive. Here comes the attempt. The arrow is going to hit Aphromoo. This is the time right now for NRG. One more shot, and it's not quite going to kill him. That was the final blow. And Aphromoo says, okay, I'll wait for Ocean Drake. I'll wait to regen back up. No big problem here. Inhibitor close to falling. Darshan walks up, and that's going to be it picked up. They're okay. Wish used to make sure it was all going to be all right, and he just knew that it was fine. Darshan, though, loses the Guardian Angel. How good's the re-engage going to be? Afro, practically full health already. Exaggeration, but close enough here in this one. Giving health back to the rest of his team. He had literally 5 HP.
Yep.
He's half health right now.
He didn't even use his ultimate when he was getting hit by GBM. So he was hoping he'd be safe. He also had Mikhail's. He could have used that on himself. But
he did lock it. That was the one thing.
He locketed.
He remembered he had activated, but he just knew how much damage he was taking.
He did just enough. Anyway, that's 2 inhibitors down for CLG right now. A successful siege. Even though NRG was doing stuff to try and stop that, they were never willing to fully commit. Because if they would have lost that, they would have lost the game. But, I mean, they're well on their way right now. I think they said they'd rather try and fight at an Elder Drake than at an inhibitor. But with 2 inhibitors down already, maybe they can't even fight at the Elder Drake, where CLG is moving towards right now.
Well, we'll see what happens. NRG wants to fight for this one, but again, only 1 Nexus turret and 2 inhibitors down means you've got to play around the map control. Ashe is nowhere to be seen in this attempt for a fight, and that's GBM forced to ghost to get away from a threat of a dive by CLG. Here comes the attempt on the Elder Dragon. It will be slow going. They have a Mountain Drake to speed it up a little bit. And let's see what happens. Santorin wants to walk forward. Smite fight could be there.
NRG should just go all in. Like, they actually don't have the time to make this initiation. Now, it's too late.
CLGs. They've got even more regen now. 1.5 Inferno Drakes, 1.5 Mountain Drakes, and 3 Ocean Drakes essentially for the next 2 minutes right here. Plenty of bird damage available.
Yeah.
Sieging should not be hard, but you've got an Ezreal and a Malzahar to land long-range poke damage and burn your opponents down.
Yep, 235 is the value of the true damage burn when you have 4 Elemental Drakes to stack up with it. That will be over 3 seconds. That'll be on top of the damage that Stixxay would do with a single Q.
So basically, life is difficult for Team NRG. We'll see if NRG Esports can actually withstand this. It's going to be difficult. Smithy locked up, down to half health. He's got to get the heals back in from Aphromoo. Shouldn't be too hard for them. There goes the turret, and now it's time for the inhibitor itself. Bottom lane did respawn, so it's only the top lane has been taken out right now. They continue to poke back and forth. Stixxay dodges GBM's damage. And I guess, yeah, even if Smithy can land long-range poke, almost everyone on CLG has some kind of long-range tool. For the Stixxay, though, dropped a little bit low. They've got to be careful. The heal's not coming in just yet. The Soraka pretty far in the back lines. Afro's got to respect all of this. Another stun to Smithy, down to half HP himself, but that's not going to be too long until it's, again, tossed back off. Middle inhibitor's gone. Bunch of damage coming through, and the flash engage and OQE QSS is out. Now Huhi's got to be a little bit careful. His passive's gone.
And NRG doesn't want to fight because of the Elder Drake.
But they've got Huhi, the CC is there, he overextends, but now the CC is in. It's the tackle for Meganar. Look at the damage up what they've got, and it's going to be Santorin trying to turn things around. Quas putting the damage, running back to the fountain, gets knocked up, but he's going to just barely stay alive, but he's not going to actually. Darshan with a triple kill, it's a quadra kill, and it's only Santorin alive. Just give it to him, Santorin. Be a bro, give it to Darshan.
CLG really wants the top laner Penta, or are they just going to take the game? He's
They're
so
not
tanky.
going to get it.
It's so hard to kill a
be the
Hecarim.
game. It's going to be the series on the back of a quadra kill by Darshan. It's Counter Logic Gaming take a hard-fought victory over NRG Esports.
Yeah, those were Darshan's only 4 kills in the game, but it was kind of decided long before that. CLG has a tremendous amount of teamwork and a tremendous amount of trust, which is one of the big reasons they've been able to be back-to-back champions of the North American LCS, because in this game, there were so many things that could have tilted or ended the game for other teams.
Yeah.
Huhi having a 7 to 8 death game in game 2, coming back and starting 0-2. Afromu for having an inexcusable death 1v1 to give up first split to Kiwi Kid. Yet they just shrug all of that off. They refocus, they start split pushing halfway through the game, and then they just start making better decisions than the other team. Even if the prior decisions have been mistakes, they just continue to trust each other, continue to execute, and continue to play their game.
So that puts Counter Logic Gaming up a little bit higher in the standings. Temporarily the same number of match wins as Cloud9, but Cloud9 have more, of course, matches to play themselves. We did not know the result of Liquid versus Apex, but either way, CLG have 2-0 Liquid on the split, so they would own